Happening now, the last ships from China bringing cargo unaffected by President Trump's massive new tariffs are sailing into American ports. So that means the countdown to supply shortages and rising prices has officially begun. Goods that were loaded after April 9th are going to be hit with a 145% tariff.
Huge tariff. Let's go to New York right now. CNN business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich is watching all of this unfold. Vanessa, how soon will we see the prices on Chinese-made products jump here in the United States?
Well, if it could be weeks, and as Pamela said, you have ships that are sailing across the ocean into New York ports that next week will be carrying that higher tariff of 145%. But I should note there will be fewer ships and less cargo because it is simply too expensive for some importers to do business with China right now. So once those ships come into the U.S. ports, retailers have said that they have about 5 to 7 weeks of pre-tariff inventory. However, once that inventory runs through, and for smaller businesses, it will be less, those higher priced, higher tariffed items will make their way onto store shelves. And businesses will have to make a decision. Do they continue to place those orders with China at that higher rate? Or do they choose not to bring that product in? And that is where you can wind up with a situation of shortages. Now, JP Morgan is projecting that they expect a 75 to 80% drop in imports from China this year because of these higher tariffs, especially around back-to-school items and holiday items, because Pamela and Wolf, those items are starting to come in right now and will be coming in through October. Those are the key time periods to watch for consumers.
Right, and just to follow up on that, you heard President Trump yesterday acknowledge that the price of toys could go up, that shelves won't have as many toys, dolls for kids. But it's not just toys coming from China that American consumers buy, right?
Oh, yeah, we buy a ton of stuff from China. We get apparel, footwear, electronics, microchips that are used for anything that beeps. These are key items that we rely on China for, and we get more apparel, shoes, and electronics from China than any other country. And Pamela, I have spoken to retailers and supply chain economists about whether or not they can reposition to manufacture in other countries and then bring that product in from those countries. It takes too long to set that up, and it is not going to replace now that deficit of product that we normally get from China, Pamela.
McDonald's, for its part, just reported its worst quarter since the height of the pandemic. Is Trump's trade war to blame for that?
Yeah, in some ways it is, because this is the second decline in quarter that we have seen back to back, a decline of 3.6% in same-store sales. That is the worst since COVID in 2020, when people were told to stay home. And the CEO of McDonald's says this is because of economic uncertainty, and they're just not seeing the foot traffic. I will say that it's not just McDonald's. You have Chipotle, you have Domino's, you have Starbucks, all reporting weaker earnings just because of this economic uncertainty, consumer sentiment declining, and consumers starting to pull back in their purchases.
We're also getting a new look at the scope of the DOJ sweeping job cuts here in the United States. Vanessa, tell us about that.
Yeah, we were waiting to see when these cuts would really show up in data, and we're getting it right now. We're hearing from Challenger and Gray, this new report signaling that government jobs were the largest cuts all year of any type of industry. The cuts were up 680% from the same time period last year, amounting to over 280,000 job cuts from the federal government. We will note, though, that also other industries are expecting to do layoffs in the month of April. We just finished the month of April, but they were projecting layoffs up over 100,000. Compare that to last year, guys, when it was 64,000. So really, this all just paints that picture of uncertainty for businesses as they're trying to figure out how to position their business among this trade war.
Vanessa Yurkevich, thank you as always. Wolf.
And the price of toys, so many of those toys being imported from China, is going to go up and up and up. And if you were planning, I know you have 3 little kids, spending, let's say, $100 for various toys coming up over the next few months, you could wind up spending about $150 for all those toys because of the tariffs that are now being imposed.
And it's why you're seeing a lot of people stockpiling right now. They're trying to get that in, buy those future gifts before the tariffs really hit, because it can have a big impact on a lot of American families.
It's going to have a huge impact on a lot of families out there.
Well, while Americans in the world brace for the full impact of the Trump tariffs, the head of the largest U.S. automaker is revealing the looming cost in actual dollars. General Motors CEO Mary Barra says that the tariffs will slash her company's earnings between $4 and $5 billion this year. This is the first such forecast released by a major company and was delayed a few days after President Trump signed an executive order easing some auto levies, details of which we don't have. Well, it comes a day after a report showing that the U.S. economy actually contracted in the first quarter of this year. President Trump blaming his predecessor, Joe Biden, while his economic advisors played down those numbers. One economist says the 0.3% decline may actually be sugarcoating what is to come, because importers and consumers are stockpiling goods ahead of the tariffs. He says the second quarter GDP could be brutal. We get another big indicator of the state of the U.S. economy tomorrow, when the April jobs numbers are announced. Keeping a keen eye on that report. Matt Egan, I want to bring him in at this point. Matt, let's start with these auto earnings, very specifically GM. We heard from her today on CNN, speaking to Erin Burnett, our colleague. What did she say about her company and tariffs, very specifically?
Yeah, Becky, GM is making it clear that these tariffs from the President of the United States are going to eat into their bottom line. GM, as you noted, really is one of the first major companies to lay out in detail just how much these import taxes are going to cost them, saying that it's going to cost this company between $4 and $5 billion this year alone. Keep in mind, the tariffs are designed to help American manufacturers, and so it's telling that they're saying it's going to hurt them financially. Now, GM also slashed its annual profit guidance.
Right now, President Trump is making his way to Michigan for back-to-back events marking his 100th day in office during his second term. The president just moments ago, as he was leaving the White House, took several questions from reporters, and notably, he said he believes a trade deal with India could be coming soon. He also said this about the tariff relief he's about to give automakers.
We're just giving them a little chance because in some cases they can't get the parts fast enough. So this is just a little transition. It's a little bit of help for people that will be doing a great job.
CNN business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich is standing by. But first, let's go to Jeff Zeleny in Warren, Michigan, where the president is heading today. Jeff, walk us through the president's plans and the messaging.
Brianna, there is no mistaking the fact that President Trump is choosing Macomb County, Michigan for a reason. He won this county by 14 points last November on his way to a much narrower but decisive win in Michigan and the sweep of all battlegrounds. And for the president, this is his first real return to not only the campaign trail, if you will, even though he's not running for anything, but also to sell his economic agenda. So we are here in Warren, Michigan, of course. This is the heart of the automotive industry. And the president is coming along with some relief for automakers who have been really concerned about these on-again, off-again tariff policies. He's offering a reprieve on some of those tariffs, and specifically the auto parts. Of course, the industry is so connected between Canada and Mexico and the United States. So offering a reprieve on some of the auto parts, as well as some of the double tariffs, if you will, tariffs that have stacked upon other tariffs. That really has been a central theme here as we've been talking to voters here in Macomb County and the surrounding areas. They've been concerned about his tariff policies. Even Trump supporters have said that they believe there's been some confusion. So the president clearly coming here to Michigan to, I don't know if you can see, there's a sign behind here that says 100 Days of Greatness. Certainly that's how the White House views it, but talking to many supporters and detractors alike, anxiety is a word that comes up again and again, Boris and Brianna.
Yeah, big signs can be tough in politics, as we've learned over time. Vanessa, walk us through the significance of Trump saying this trade deal with India could be coming, and also this easing on auto tariffs.
Yeah, well, auto tariffs first. I've been speaking to sources within the U.S. auto industry who have said for weeks now that this tariff that is coming on auto parts set to take effect on Saturday, that 25% tariff, that was their biggest concern because even U.S. automakers import a ton of foreign parts, even if they're assembling the vehicle here in the United States. And as Jeff mentioned, there's a little bit of sort of a rebate coming to those automakers that even if they import the foreign car parts, they're going to get sort of a percentage discount if they assemble the vehicle here in the United States. But Ford, Stellantis, General Motors, they all still assemble vehicles in other countries like Canada and Mexico. So this is an effort by the president to get them to move manufacturing back to the United States. But of course, the automakers are saying in statements right now that they're appreciative of this reprieve. But ultimately, there is still that 25% tariff that is hitting foreign cars being imported and foreign car parts being imported. And economists have suggested that those prices, those tariffs are going to get handed down to the consumer at the end of the day. Also, as you mentioned, a deal potentially with India, a trade deal. This is something that we saw markets move on. First, we heard from the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, saying that he had a deal done with one country. He was not specific about which country, but we just heard, as you mentioned, from the president there saying that he is close to a deal with India. So is that one deal or two deals? Any way you put it, though, we saw the Dow pop on that news. The Dow up now more than 300 points. As investors I've been speaking to for weeks now, Brianna, out of everything they've wanted to hear from the president is not that the fact that they're talking with other countries, that they're negotiating with other countries. They want to see deals. And we're getting indications from the administration, Brianna, that there may be an actual deal coming soon.
My next guest is Corey Carver. She's the founder of Grove Fruit Growers in Boise, Idaho. And Corey, thanks for joining us. Your business grows mangoes in Cambodia.
You can see the tariffs are failing. And this is what Canada warned Trump would happen. They warned them. They say, Donald, look, you're doing it to us right now, but we know you're going to go too far and do it to the world. We are your warning. Canada said, we're the world's warning, but we're also America's warning. Because we were like, look, Trump's not just going to stop at Canada and Mexico. You damn well know that, right? Like, it's going to happen to you. It's going to be insane. Yeah, it's going to hurt Canada more than a lot of countries because the trading relationship is so critical from Canada and the U.S. and Mexico and the U.S. So it's not going to be the same, but it's going to be the same actions from Donald Trump, right? And then, it took a few weeks and then it happened and it's still been happening. And again, tariffs get canceled one day and up the next and exempted one day and exceptions made the next. And then those exceptions go away. And then sometimes he respects existing trade deals. These are only new things. But then other times he directly violates those trade deals. We knew that. But it's also the warning. Canada warned the United States saying, what you did here to us, like we had to respond. We don't want to do this, but we had to. We had to reciprocate the tariffs, at least partially. Mexico had to do the same thing too. And if you do it to the world's going to do it back. And everything's going to become more expensive because you buy tons of food from Mexico. You buy tons of manufacturing and raw materials from Canada. You buy food from Canada and manufacturing materials as well. But you know what I mean? And you buy tons of consumer goods from China and other countries, like Vietnam, for example. You buy lots of stuff from Taiwan and Japan and the European Union. And if you do this, it's going to get bad. And if you do this, your mistake is you're not just picking on 2 countries, you're picking on 200 countries, and then you're going to lose.